a Learfield presentation of the Oregon Sports Network.
And Oregon is going to play in the national championship game.
This is Duck Insider.
These are good problems to have, right? So much success that you have more than one place to be.
5-3, touchdown, Oregon.
Off a dribble, launches, and hits the three. Oregon leads.
What a great opportunity it is to be able to play at University of Oregon.
I'm just incredibly proud to be a part of something like this.
She wants another three. Oh, three in a row.
Oregon is headed to the Super Regional.
Big Ten champions, your Oregon Ducks.
We are so privileged and so fortunate. We get to see all these young people. We get to see this incredible growth, which is what college is all about.
This is Duck Insider on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield, presented by OnPoint Community Credit Union. People are the point. Now let's go live to the Country Financial Studio to talk Oregon Duck Athletics.
It's a Friday here in the Country Financial Studio. Duck Insider brought to you by OnPoint Community Credit Union. Ryan Milano here with you for what is the last show of 2024 here on Duck Insider. We're going to have about 3 weeks off. We will resume on the 6th of January. The first Monday of 2025 is when we will be back on Duck Insider. So we've got a whole lot of Oregon athletics until then. We still have a lot to touch on from what went on in Oregon athletics last night and what will happen over the coming days on today's show. But we have a full slate for what is to come here on the Oregon Sports Network and around the Oregon Athletic Department throughout the rest of the 2024 year and early into 2025. So what does the schedule look like? Great question. First off, tomorrow, men's basketball on the road playing Stanford at a neutral site-ish in San Jose-ish. Still Northern California. Ducks will travel to play Stanford. That's at 5 o'clock tomorrow. Joey will have air at 4:30 for the pregame show on the Oregon Sports Network. You can watch it on Big Ten Network for the TV audience. Then on Saturday, a week from Saturday, so in 8 days from now on the 28th, women's basketball, that's their next game. They're on the road against Illinois. That is at noon on Big Ten Plus. The ensuing day on Sunday, the last home event for Oregon in 2024, where the men's basketball team plays host to Weber State. That's at 2 p.m. on Big Ten Plus there. Then we get to the final event of the 2024 athletics calendar, where on New Year's Eve, women's basketball is on the road against Northwestern at noon. Chris Clayton will have air at 11:30, as the Ducks will also be televised on Big Ten Network on New Year's Eve. New Year's Day, it's the granddaddy of them all in Pasadena, California. Oregon will play at the Rose Bowl against either Tennessee or Ohio State. We'll figure out what the opponent is tomorrow for the Ducks. Game is at 2 o'clock, the Rose Bowl. It will be televised on ESPN. We will have pregame starting at noon on the Oregon Sports Network. Then on Thursday, the 2nd of January, men's basketball back at Matthew Knight Arena, 7 o'clock in the p.m. on Fox Sports 1 is when you can get that televised game for Oregon versus the Illini of Illinois for the conference home opener of 2025. There was one game a few weeks ago, but the real meat of conference play starts on January 2nd against Illinois. Then Saturday on the 4th of January, women's basketball back at Matthew Knight Arena as they play a conference game against Wisconsin, 12:30 p.m. Chris Clayton, Bev Smith will have air at noon, and that game will be televised on Big Ten Network. Sunday, on the 5th of January, men's basketball at Matthew Knight Arena against Maryland, 1 o'clock. That game will be televised on Peacock. So a lot of events going on between now and when we have the next Duck Insider, which is the day after that men's basketball game against Maryland on January 6th. We will return for Duck Insider here in the Country Financial Studio, but a whole lot of men's basketball, a whole lot of women's basketball, as well as a pretty important football game going to be slated between now and then. But we're still breaking down what happened last night for Oregon women's basketball at Matthew Knight Arena. The Ducks got the win to close out the non-conference slate against UC Irvine, a 71-43 victory in which Peyton Scott notched her 2,000th career point. She has had a historic career from Miami, Ohio, now over to Oregon. Her second year with the program, her first real full year with the program. She has been a leader in every sense of the word. We're going to get to hear from her coming up later on the show, but first we got to hear from the head coach, Kelly Graves. What was a little bit of a sloppy game for Oregon, but a big win. A 71-43 victory over a strong UC Irvine team that has made it to the tournament, has won Big West titles in each of the last 2 years. It's a talented Anteater program, and Oregon, even though they didn't play their best ball, still got a 71-43 victory. It was also holiday sweater night at Matthew Knight Arena. Yeah, Kelly Graves, he played his part. Let's hear from the coach, KG, after a big Oregon women's basketball win last night.
Okay, happy holidays, everybody. Let's make this short so we can enjoy our holiday, okay? And get going. Not our best game, but it was hard to follow up what I thought was a great performance the other night, come back 2 days later against a really good team. These guys are a good team. They have a winning culture, and, got to give them credit. They battled and battled and battled, but still it was a good win for us. We did a lot of good things, and, we'll take it and we move on. Yeah. Enjoy the holidays. Yeah.
I guess I was going to say glass half empty as you started both the first and second half kind of slow, glass half full as you finished those quarters that those halves started with really strong. I guess what are your perception and kind of the way those halves started?
Yeah, it's funny because we've typically started really well, and tonight we didn't. Defensively, we're pretty good. I mean, they didn't score a field goal in the first quarter, if I'm not mistaken, right? So defensive effort was there. We just, missed our first 8 or 9 shots, and you can't get much closer around the rim. I talked to him at halftime about, we had, I think at that time, 12 offensive rebounds in the first half and only 8 second chance points. We have to make those count. But, that happens. We just weren't as good as we normally are inside. No, please go.
Sorry, you talked about the depth, obviously, all season long. Yep. 51 points against Air Force, 48 tonight. Really felt like tonight, though, you guys needed that spark from the bench. Just, how important was that, you feel?
Yeah, we did. Ari came in, Ari Long, she just gives us a ton of energy. She's earned more playing time. That's the good thing. She's, she comes in, gives us a spark. That's awesome to see. And I thought Lexi Whitfield came in, did a great job. Sarah, Katie. So, good production off the bench. And when, your first unit's not doing what they should, right, then it's nice to know you've got some depth, some people you can put in and get us going.
Lexi has had some struggles in recent weeks shooting the ball. What was it like to see her just kind of hit that three-point shot? She made some great passes, too.
We made 7. I mean, not a great percentage, but for us, it was a good night, big night from the three-point line. Yeah, it was important. She's a good player, and she's been really productive for most of the year, and this recently it hasn't been quite the same. It was good to see her, going into this break now with a little confidence, feeling good, and because we're going to need her. She's a productive player. She had a lot of assists, I think.
Yeah, I think
4. Okay, yeah. I mean, she's the type of player can fill up a stat sheet. So.
Almost 10 days now, between games, and a lot between now and then. Can you talk about all the different ways you want your players to fill their time between now and then? Between now and the next game? You just want them in the gym the whole time?
I didn't hear half of that. I don't know if that's me lacking focus or not being able to hear.
I bamboozled Dana Altman this morning, so it's nice to know I can put a bookend on the day by bamboozling you too.
Okay.
Just in the next 10 days before your next game. Obviously, with the holiday, there's that, but also I'm sure you've got some things to work on. Just can you talk about the productive use of the next 10 days in all regards?
Yeah, but this time of year, so we're done. Most of our players are, other than the international ones, are going home tomorrow, and they have a break. We're meeting back up on Christmas night for the first time in 38 years. As being a coach, I'm practicing on Christmas night. The Big Ten's made us, quite frankly, with a 28th game on the road. We're leaving on the 27th early in the morning, so we don't have a ton of time. This is it. And then we'll meet back up Christmas night, probably for a light jog, to get all the fudge and divinity and ham and yams and everything else we eat at Christmas time out of their system. And then we'll have a couple of practices on the 26th, and we leave bright and early on the 27th and practice back in Illinois. So, we don't have a ton of time. But, the last time we had a 10-day layoff between the USC and the Air Force game, we played pretty well. So, I'm glad they get this break. I think it's really important, and it is a decent break for them. They get 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, really 5 full days off, and Christmas. I think they're all traveling Christmas Day. So we wish them the best. We wish everybody the best. Travel safely.
Sorry, you talked last week about gaining momentum before Big Ten play. Do you feel like these last 2 games you guys have gained enough momentum heading into this conference?
Yeah, absolutely. These guys were 7-3 coming in, or 8-3. 7-3, 8-3, and Air Force was 9-1. 2 pretty good opponents. We played really well. So yeah, I think we feel good going into Big Ten. We start, I think, 4 or 5 on the road, if I'm not mistaken. Is that right? So that's not easy. A couple of long trips, but I think we're ready to go. I think our rotation's kind of pretty much done now, and now we just got to get everybody to play just a little bit better. Intensity rises a little, and we got to be ready to play. And we're going against a really good team right off the bat at Illinois.
Yeah, you mentioned that the rotation. I think these past 2 games you're able to play a lot of players over 10 minutes, pretty much every healthy player over 10 minutes. Do you feel like you've kind of seen enough from everyone to make decisions on what the rotation will be going forward?
Yeah, I think so. We've just got to get our seniors have got to at least kind of step it up. I don't know any other way to put it. They've just got to be better because we need them. We need their experience. We need their toughness. We need, obviously the production. So, yeah, I think we're pretty set. I like what I've seen out of our crew. Our bench has outscored our starters the last 2 games. So that's not bad. A lot of coaches would like that.
Statistically, probably your 2 best defensive games this week. But what was working this week, and I guess how do you harness that? What translates in the Big Ten, you think?
Yeah, just a lot of energy. I think we're making things happen defensively. That's what I've been pleased to see, quite frankly. Yeah, we've had a lot of time to work on it. Those last 10 days, we actually did really work on the defense a lot. So we're in a good place. We're excited to get this going. Am I reading this? We only had 2 in double figures tonight? Yeah. Interesting. 1 with 10, 1 with 11. Wow.
Off the cuff question, not related to sports, but out of the ugly sweaters that were here tonight or over the last couple of days, who do you think wore the best sweater tonight?
I don't know what the best sweater was, but I definitely wore it the best. Whatever I'm wearing. When my wife and I go out, I'll ask her, honey, how does this look? And she just looks at me, she goes, it don't matter, they're going to be looking at me. So, and she's right. So I don't know. I think Val looks great. It says ugly Christmas sweater. That's not ugly. That actually's got some pretty good ornaments on it. It's pretty neat. Now, this is always a fun tradition. I think I don't know if they did it before I got here, but we've done it every year since I've been here, and kind of fun. Where's yours?
I know, I didn't get the message.
Come on, Scrooge.
Sorry.
Bah humbug.
Trust me, when you guys come back, I'll have it.
Well, I wish everybody the happiest of holidays. Katie's dad has his memorial service on Saturday, and it just makes you think, life is fragile. You just got to, especially now when you're with your loved ones, just give them a hug, tell them how much you love them, how much they mean to you, and not just your family, everybody. I just think it's a lesson learned. And, I think we could all use a little bit more love in our lives. The world could, for sure. All right, I'm going to get off my soapbox there. All right, all the best, you guys.
I echo the message from Kelly Graves, a very fashionable Kelly Graves last night. Duck wearing a Santa hat on a Christmas sweater? Yeah, that's good. That's Coach KG, brought to you by the Willamette Valley Cancer Institute and Research Center. Better cancer care close to home. When we return, we're continuing to talk about the Oregon women's basketball win last night over UCI. We're hearing from someone who got 2,000 career points. And also, Alexis Whitfield had a pretty strong game. That's coming on the other side. After this timeout on Duck Inside on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
As a local community credit union founded by teachers, OnPoint is committed to supporting the students and faculty at the University of Oregon. And on game day, we're right there with you, on the field, in the bleachers, and in the classrooms. Drop by our local branch today and discover the many ways OnPoint can help support your financial well-being. OnPoint Community Credit Union. People are the point. Federally insured by NCUA. Equal housing opportunity.
Hey Duck fans, at Country Financial, they make insurance easy. Whether you're shopping for home, auto, or more, their representatives will take the time to understand your specific needs and explain what options work best for you. Worry less and feel more confident knowing you're covered. Visit countryfinancial.com to get started today. Experience more with Country Financial. Auto and home insurance policies issued by Country Mutual Insurance Company, Country Preferred Insurance Company, and Country Casualty Insurance Company, Bloomington, Illinois.
This is Duck Insider. Duck Insider on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
Comes to a gun suicide attempt, all it takes is a moment.
Heather and I had an argument just like any other couple. I was lost. I had snapped. I had a gun and I was going to take my own life. Heather helped me realize that there was still a life to live for the better of myself, my family. My weapon is now safely put away.
A moment of crisis can happen to anyone. Store your guns, locked, unloaded, and away from ammo. Hear more safe stories at endfamilyfire.org. Brought to you by Brady and the Ad Council.
You say you'd never give in to a meltdown and never fill your feed with kid photos. You say you'd never put a pacifier in your mouth to clean it and never let them run wild through the grocery store. So when you say you'd never let them get into a car without you there, know it can happen. 1 in 4 hot car deaths happen when a kid gets into an unlocked car and can't get out. Never happens. Before you leave the car, always stop, look, lock. Brought to you by NHTSA and the Ad Council.
Back here inside the Country Financial Studio, it's Duck Insider, brought to you by OnPoint Community Credit Union. Just got the post-game reactions from Coach Kelly Graves after a 71-43 victory over UC Irvine, a game in which Peyton Scott broke 2,000 career points in her career. She's now up to 2,005 officially after a 9-point performance last night against UCI. Also in the game against UCI, Alexis Whitfield doing a pretty strong job of putting together an all-around performance. 10 points, 3 for 5 from the field, 2 for 2 from 3. The big has some range out on the perimeter. Also 5 rebounds, 4 assists, and 4 steals. Plus 28 plus-minus in the box score. Strong performance in what was a well-rounded performance from so many Ducks. It felt like everybody scored at least 6 points in this game for Oregon, but 2 that really shined, Peyton Scott, Alexis Whitfield breaking down the win. Here they are.
Scotty, 2,000 points in your career. What does it mean beyond the fact you've been playing for a while?
Dang, you just aged me, did you? Yeah, like I said out there, it's a super cool feat. Honestly, just because I was able to do it with so many teammates, so many different coaches. I was blessed to be able to do it at 2 different institutions. So honestly, being here just shows you how many great people I've been surrounded by, and I'm just grateful that I was put in positions to just excel with those around me. So I'm very grateful.
What did this game mean for you guys when you guys go into a little bit of a break here and then start Big Ten play? Just I guess these 2 games together. What did this week mean for you guys?
Yeah, we just wanted to build some momentum, honestly. It wasn't really about who we were playing for us. It was more about how we can get better and what we needed to do night in and night out just to be the best team that we can be going into the Big Ten. So both of these games for us were just momentum builders. And I thought it was great because our bench in both games played really well. And so I think that's just confidence boosters for us. And, you know, it's going to scare the teams that we're going to play, that we're deeper and deeper. And we've continued to talk about that since day one. I think you're really starting to see it.
Next 2 games in a row where the bench outscores the starters. Just pride in being able to really provide production like that off the bench, and what's the mentality right now that's fueling that?
Definitely. I think you guys know Coach Graves. He always talks about our depth and stuff, so we just always want to come in and make sure that there's no drop-off, and just to build on what the starters have started off going into the quarter. But, yeah, just making sure that we pick up the intensity and we come in with a spark, because they obviously wear them down for us, and then we're going to come in with some new fresh legs and just go at it again and just put them against the ropes pretty much.
that give you guys a lot of confidence knowing that even if the starters maybe are having a little bit of a slower start, that if you are coming off the bench one night or there's different players coming off, that you can come and pick up the slack and kind of get that spark back for everybody?
Definitely. I mean, that's all of our goals. We're just here to pick each other up no matter what. That's our goal. Just coming in, making sure that we can, one, set a higher standard. That's what we always want. We want to always just keep being better. Throughout the game, we want to close out quarters. We obviously want to start good too, but making sure that we build on things. We always just want to keep building and not regressing. So,
Given you guys are going in a little bit of a break now, how nice is it to be going in having had some success this week?
Yeah, I mean, it's great. Like we said, we talk about momentum, and it's a lot better going into a break off a win. But we talked about, just enjoying it the first few days, but making sure that we're staying ready because, we're going into the meat of our season and the games that really matter.
What's impressed you most with the two freshmen? They both had, I thought, really strong closes to the game in particular. But through this point in the season, what's impressed you most with both of those?
Absolutely. I think they're starting to get their confidence. They're starting to get their swag, and they're starting to see how they can impact the game. I think we've gotten to a point where we've played 11 games now. They've seen it. It's starting to slow down for them, and they're seeing success. So we're just excited for them that they continue to bring a spark off the bench and just impact the game in great ways that, we're confident when they go in the game that there's not going to be any dip-offs, and you're starting to see that depth really play out.
For both you guys, at your previous stops, you were the number one scoring options. You took a lot of shots, and there are a lot of other players on this team. They're the same way, Nani, Deja, Medius is the same way. What's it been like through this early part of the season, sort of gelling with maybe taking less shots, but still having big roles and figuring those out through the early parts of the season for both of you?
Yeah, I think, in the beginning, there's going to be highs and there's going to be lows. There's going to be good games and there's going to be learning games. At the end of the day, we did bring in 9 new people. And like you said, we all had our respected, roles at our last schools. But we understand that we want to go far, and to do that, we have to buy into the role that this team needs us to do. And what I appreciate about this team is, we don't have a big ego. We don't have a bunch of people getting in the way of that. We got people that are buying in, that are accepting that some nights it's not their nights, and some nights it is. And we see, like, on these past 2 games, just how impactful everyone can be when we buy into our role and when we do that to the best of our ability.
Definitely. I second that pretty much. I think also it just gives you that extra boost to know that you can lean on everyone because you do have other scorers around you, so you trust that if it's not your night, someone else is going to pick up that slack. But obviously we're all going to pour into each other, make sure we can get out of our slumps. But that's the thing that helps is, like, it's a hard day, but you have 3 other people that can go in there and get things done too. So it makes it better, makes it more fun, makes you able to get out of yourself too.
You guys have done a lot of things right, obviously, in the non-conference schedule, over the last several weeks or so. But the 3-point shooting feels like that's the one area that still needs improvement. Do you feel like that's just something that the shots just aren't falling right now? Do you feel like that's just more of kind of like a ticking time bomb that it's gonna get going? You guys just got to keep on taking shots from the moment right now.
Absolutely, it's gonna come. Mm-hmm. It's a confidence thing. Sometimes you're not going to make every shot. That's just how it goes, but you can't have the mindset that you're going to miss every shot either. And so I think it's just getting ourselves outside of that and making sure that we have enough confidence and we're telling each other that we still trust in you and we still trust in you to take those shots and we still believe in you to make those shots, and they're going to come. We're going to get games where we can't miss. It's coming.
Peyton Scott, Alexis Whitfield trying to carry some momentum from this non-conference week where Oregon had 2 really balanced performances against both Air Force and UC Irvine. Now the Ducks transition and move towards conference play. Coming up against Illinois a week from tomorrow will be the first road conference game of the meat of conference. Big Ten does it where you play a few conference games early, but the real conference play starts against Illinois on December 28th on the road in Illinois for Oregon women's basketball. We got to change gears. We're talking about someone who had a really strong fall campaign, looking to pick up an even bigger spring on the tennis court. That's what's coming up when we return on Duck Insider on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
Jan from Toyota here, live with some big news. Toyotathon is on. Okay, now back to your regularly scheduled programming.
Dealer inventory may vary. Toyota-thon ends January 6th. Participating dealers only. Toyota, let's go places.
As a local community credit union founded by teachers, OnPoint is committed to supporting the students and faculty at the University of Oregon. And on game day, we're right there with you, on the field, in the bleachers, and in the classrooms. Drop by our local branch today and discover the many ways OnPoint can help support your financial well-being. OnPoint Community Credit Union. People are the point. Federally insured by NCUA. Equal housing opportunity.
Jan from Toyota here, live with some big news. Toyota-thon is on. Okay, now back to your regularly scheduled programming.
Dealer inventory may vary. Toyota-thon ends January 6th. Participating dealers only. Toyota, let's go places.
Your daily dose of Oregon athletics. This is Duck Insider from Learfield.
The possibility of lung cancer can be pretty scary, especially if you're one of approximately 8 million current or former smokers at high risk. That's why SaveByTheScan.org wants you to know that now there's a breakthrough low-dose CT scan that can detect lung cancer early, and it only takes 60 seconds. You stop smoking, now start screening. For an easy quiz to see if you're eligible, visit SaveByTheScan.org. It could save your life. SaveByTheScan.org is brought to you by the American Lung Association's Lung Force Initiative and the Ad Council.
I'm a pretty great multitasker. I can wash dishes and do laundry. I can roller skate while walking my dog. I can even order lunch while doing my homework. But I can't use my phone while driving. A distracted driver is one of the leading causes of death in the United States. So when it comes to driving, please, don't be a multitasker.
Don't drive distracted. A message brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, Project Yellow Light, and the Ad Council.
Back in the Country Financial Studio, it's Duck Insider, brought to you by OnPoint Community Credit Union. Ryan Milano here with you on a Friday, last show of 2024 for Duck Insider. Joey Mack, earlier in the week, caught up with a tennis star in the making for Oregon men's tennis. We're less than a month away from the spring, fall, winter tennis season, the spring season for tennis that's coming up less than a month from now. Paris Poua was here, and he was excited to get to his 2-minute life story. He put in a pretty strong effort. Getting to hear from one of the Oregon men's tennis players, Paris Poua.
Okay, so I'm Paris Poua. My life story actually starts in Germany. My parents went to college in Germany, but they're born in Cameroon. And I lived there until I was about 3 or 4 years old. Moved to Georgia. I moved to Duluth originally, and then when I was 7 or 8, I moved to Alpharetta. And then by age 9, 2015, my mom and my 2 sisters had a New Year's resolution that they wanted to start playing tennis. And in this time, I think I was playing football, but it was spring season, so it was over and I wasn't doing anything. So my mom was like, "Yeah, you have to get on the tennis court too." And I was like I'm not playing this sport. I was no. And then I played it. I was having a lot of fun playing it. It was also indoor season in Georgia because it was cold, so it was that wasn't really a struggle. And then after about a month or 2, I started playing tournaments. The coach I was working with, he saw I was picking up on it fast. He really wanted me to switch. My mom didn't think I was gonna switch, and she thought it would be kind of a waste of time. But the coach was like, just give me through the summer and everything. Luckily for him and luckily for me, I picked up the sport. I really liked it. I kept playing, kept having a lot of fun. And then around the age of 13 or 14, I moved to Florida to train at IMG Academy. And I lived there until I was 17. And then around the time that I left IMG, I actually started talking to Spence and Niels. Spence came out and watched me in South Carolina. We had a great talk. It was with my dad. My dad was at the tournament. He made a great impression on me. And then when I came on my visit, Niels also made a great impression on me. And those were some of the main reasons that brought me here. So,
minute 45.75. That's pretty good. Look, It gets easier when you're 30.
Yeah.
You know, like me. I'm more than 2 minutes now at this point. I say for
for where you are, minute 45.75.
I thought I was way past. I thought I was like drifting off the plot a little bit.
No, I thought that was great. I mean, you're close to the top 5 there on the leaderboard. So I'll tell you what. We'll revisit this in like 3 years when you have like 25 more seconds or 15 more seconds, and it'll be great.
Yeah.
All right, now as you can imagine, I have multiple follow-ups. So this is why we do this with the 2-minute life story. I knew that you had moved around, but I didn't realize how much you had moved around.
A lot, yeah.
How many places have you lived in?
Just
so
Germany, Duluth, Alpharetta, and then I boarded at IMG for a year, then I stopped boarding. So technically Oregon would be like 5 or 6.
I mean, 5, 6 is more than most people, right? Okay, so now the hard-hitting question, because you're with us on the Oregon Sports Network, we have to know, how does the food compare in all these different places, and what's the best thing you've ever eaten?
Oh, how does the food compare internationally and everywhere I've been? I would say that probably my favorite, I'm really simple, so I really like burgers and simple food.
Okay.
But if I had to say in terms of cultural specific food, even though I've never lived in Africa, my mom makes really good Cameroonian food.
Oh, okay.
So if I had to choose, there's only certain, because I'm a little picky when it comes to that, but they have fufu and arrow.
Okay.
There's something called achu soup. So there's those types of dishes that I probably like the most. But if I'll just say American food is on the lower side, because even Germany makes good food. They have schnitzel, the bread. I don't know, the train station. Even the simple bread is pretty good. So they're all different. They're not really comparable for me. But
see, I think that's fascinating because we talk about cultural differences, and one of the things that I've always loved about talking, especially with tennis student athletes, your roster is generally one of the most diverse rosters in the athletic department. How cool is that for you?
It's very cool, and I think it's something that luckily I was able to get used to going to an international school. So since I was 13 or 14, the biggest culture shock was coming from Georgia, and you because you're one of the best kids in Georgia, you think you're the best in the world, and then you come and there's a guy from Turkey who's way better than you.
Yeah.
There's gonna be a guy from Korea who's way better than you, and you're just whoa, not I'm not as good as I thought it was, but there's also better kids out there. So it's a big eye opener. And then just getting used to different people, how they act. Everyone acts different, whether it's on court, off court. So it was a good warm up for, I would say, college, but it's still something to get used to.
So we're coming up also on everyone's New Year's resolutions again for a new year. So you're telling me though that we have a New Year's resolution to thank for you playing tennis?
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, okay, so are New Year's resolutions a big thing in your family?
No, it was really just my mom. I think she played tennis when she was in Cameroon, in high school, and just that year she was just yeah, I want to play tennis again, and then I was just trying to act like I didn't hear it because I didn't want to play, and she was yeah, you're not just gonna sit here while everyone else is playing tennis. So I was okay.
And you were a football player before?
Yeah,
that.
I played football. Yeah, for 2 seasons before that.
So are you still a football fan?
Yeah, I used to watch the NFL a lot more back then, but then seeing the Patriots winning every year, and then obviously the 28-3, all that stuff kind of drifted me away from watching football. I think I was also a super big fan of Oregon football when I was really young, but then I kind of stopped watching college football until probably a year ago or a year and a half ago. But I was more of a football person.
So that's what I was going to ask you. You're in the age group where Oregon football has been of the elite, right? I was curious if that influenced your decision. When the coaches are saying wearing the O, you're oh, I know what that is.
Yeah, for a while, for the longest time, I think Oregon is probably one of the most famous athletic schools. I think it has a great reputation for being an athletic school, and the facilities back that up as well. But that, I would say that was a little bit part of it. I wouldn't say football is what drove my decision. I definitely would like it if I wasn't at football games that had 8,000 people and there's no crowd. But definitely the football games trumped my expectations because I don't think I've been to one before that.
Really?
Besides maybe one Falcons game ever. But the Ohio State game was crazy, rushing the field after. So yeah, it was great.
That's awesome. Now, you talked a little bit, too, about the relationship with Coach Spencer, with Coach Sheelander. Dive in on that, if you could. What was the process like as a recruit and then deciding to come here?
Yeah, so I think I had spoken to Niels on the phone first, and then I had spoken to Spence. I think I had a great conversation with Niels originally. Then he pipelined me to Spence, had a great conversation with him, and I just felt it was really easy flowing. And then obviously I couldn't really gauge much at that point then, But then when I played in South Carolina and Spence came out and watched, I think he watched like 2 or 3 matches. What I was really impressed with was he had a really good gauge on like my game style and how he saw my game molding over time, what I could improve on, and like how to develop me. And I think like with some schools, like they how do I say, like they'll take a player that's just good instead of like saying like really analyzing their game and being like, how can I help this player and how can I do this and do that. So that was what I was really happy with. My dad also really liked that. That was something that was important to him. And then on my visit, I think I visited like a month later, something like that. Met the team. Not like I know some people on their visits, they're like in the dorms with the team, but mine was like right before or right after the dead period.
Okay. So
it was like, I don't even think it was over the weekend. It was like during the week because I also wanted to check out the school.
Right.
On the visit, like I had a great lunch and dinner with the coaches. Russell, who's on the team now, he's a junior. He was at the dinner, so we talked about a lot of specifics. But it was just overall, like, it was a pretty welcoming experience. Like, the coaches were super open, and they're still super open. Like, I can ask questions to them. I don't talk back to the coaches, but like I can ask questions, right? Like I'm not gonna like make it seem I'm trying to like challenge their belief, but just like question and be like, could it be this way instead of this way, or like what can I do better? And also one important thing is that they're very how do I say, they have a sense of urgency when coaching me. So like if they see immediately that like my energy is not there, like in the first 5 minutes they're already telling me before the warm-up's over. Yeah, it's not gonna be like 45 minutes in when we only have an hour left where they're like, Paris, I noticed your energy's off today. Like they want to make sure that as soon as I'm on the practice court, my energy's there. Like, and they said if it's not 100%, like, or if you don't feel 100%, then like, because sometimes like if you're feeling injured or something like that, right, which was happening to me in week 1, week 2, they're like, we'd rather you don't practice because we don't want you building bad habits. So.
Sure. I mean, it's give and take relationship.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? Like I think that's really cool to hear.
I completely agree. You're building every day. You're creating those strong habits. By the way, Paris Poua, he didn't quite make the leaderboard on the 2-minute life story. He was not far off that leaderboard in the 2-minute life story. Really strong job. We've got more from the conversation. Paris Poua, Joey Mack, coming up, part 2, when we return on Duck Inside on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
At Shadow Hills Country Club, we're more than just an award-winning golf course and practice facility. Our events team offers all-inclusive event pricing that allows us to take care of all the details while you enjoy your event. Our indoor and outdoor venues offer you a wide variety of fully staffed options that put the focus on you. From weddings to business and social events, at Shadow Hills Country Club Events Center, you get the benefits of a resort atmosphere and amenities in a peaceful country setting, just minutes from downtown Eugene. Call for a tour today or visit shadowhillsevents.com.
As a local community credit union founded by teachers, OnPoint is committed to supporting the students and faculty at the University of Oregon. And on game day, we're right there with you, on the field, in the bleachers, and in the classrooms. Drop by our local branch today and discover the many ways OnPoint can help support your financial well-being. OnPoint Community Credit Union. People are the point. Federally insured by NCUA. Equal housing opportunity.
You're listening to Duck Insider. Duck Insider on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
All right, son. Time to put out this campfire.
Dad, we learned about this in school.
Oh, did you now? Okay. What's first?
Smokey Bear said to.
First drown it with a bucket of water, then stir it with a shovel.
Wow. You sound just like him.
Then he said,
if it's still warm, then do it again.
Where can I learn all this?
It's all on SmokeyBear.com with other wildfire prevention tips, because only you can prevent wildfires.
Brought to you by the USDA Forest Service, your state forester, and the Ad Council.
Hi, I'm Ryan Blaney, a third-generation race car driver, and I dedicate a lot of my time going fast. But when my grandpa was diagnosed with Alzheimer's, it was a very unexpected bump in the road for us. It's important to notice if older family members are acting differently or having trouble with routine tasks. Early detection of Alzheimer's can give your family time to explore support services and access available treatments. If you or your family are noticing changes, it could be Alzheimer's. Talk about seeing a doctor together. Visit alz.org/time to talk. A message from the Alzheimer's Association and the Ad Council.
Back here in the Country Financial Studio, it's Duck Insider, brought to you by OnPoint Community Credit Union. Heard part one of the conversation with Joey Mack and Paris Poua, the Oregon men's tennis player. We're getting to part two of their chat, previewing the season. What is Paris Poua up to? Let's find out.
I talked about, the relationship aspect, but I also was curious about the development of your game. I mean, you touched on, it sounds like it moved quickly for you.
Yeah.
I mean, how fast did your game develop? Who helped you get where you are?
Yeah, so are you talking about from 12?
Yeah.
Like even younger? Okay,
Yeah.
so originally I would say my first private coach, he put a lot of good fundamentals into me. He's Venezuelan, and his name was Gustavo, and he was a big Rafa fan. So a lot of my beginning coaching, he wanted building me lefty type of things, those types of things. And even I would say up until really a year and a half ago, I don't think I was really playing into that lefty game very much, which is a lot of people are surprised about, especially my parents were like, "What are you doing?" But him, and then I had another coach, Tori, who I was working with privately for a year, in an academy, but he was my coach, and he we worked on a lot of specifics, stuff that I still feel that I do today, whether it's slicing or just many habits that it's I remember that I used to work on that, and it's almost second nature to me. At one point, so those are people who really put strong fundamentals into me, whether it was technique, serve. I think I've changed my serve a lot, not every year, but I've changed my serve a lot over the years. So my serve is different today than it was when I was 13 or 14. But then I would even say in between the year I left IMG, so my whole senior year, the level that I jumped, or what I saw in my level change, from the time that Spence watched me to all the way in my first day here, was really incredible to me. So when I moved back to Georgia, I was training at an academy called Gilly Alvarez Tennis Academy. His son actually is a great player, and another kid they train with, they're top 2 or top 3 in their class together. And immediately 2 or 3 months after training there, I was seeing results development wise. And they're his coaching style is a little different. He's quieter. He'll talk to you. Honestly, it'll be before and after practices more than during practices, and every 2 minutes sometimes. But I just saw a big level improvement. And then another time I was seeing more development in my game was this semester. I think I felt like I was already playing good. I went to San Diego. I had a pretty good tournament in singles. And then we got back. The coaches were like, this was good, but I think Spence, because he was in San Diego, he was the serve can be better. Playing getting off the back foot from the backhand, because I played a guy, he was really, even though I won, but he was really attacking my backhand, getting me on the back foot, breaking my core position down, which honestly I think that's probably why I started cramping. But he said getting on that front foot on that backhand, and then within we had 2 or 3 weeks before regionals, within those 3 weeks I saw a huge difference in my game by the next tournament. So in Washington, it was indoor, in which I didn't grow up playing many tournaments indoor, maybe 2 or 3 a year.
It's different.
And then even in Canada, ITF in Canada, I was losing most of my matches, honestly, indoor. But I felt myself, Washington doesn't have the fastest courts, but even so, just the kind of placebo effect of playing indoor, you feel it's going to be a faster court. I felt myself really stepping up, and I was surprised. I was really surprised by the level I was playing at. And I still think the serve needs improvement, intensity needs improvement, but I was very pleased to see how much I had improved in a month and a half.
I feel just talking to you right now, you're very introspective, analytical.
I am, yeah.
Yeah, so if you could then explain to the general fan, you talked about the lefty style. What do you mean by that?
Yeah, so a lot of people would say I would say the traditional lefty that you see on the ATP Tour, they have a topspin forehand, a pretty flat backhand, and they're just I don't know how to say, they're pretty nasty competitors. That's kind of how they're known for. I would say for me, I'm not the biggest tennis player, so growing up, it hasn't been for me I have a big serve that it's gonna be 40-30. He's gonna do a slice wide 150 miles an hour and go serve +1 or something like that. I think I've had to be a little bit more tactical, and I think that also kind of, since I was trying to play so much with my head, I think that kind of brought me away from playing a lefty, because I think I had coaches tell me as a lefty 70% of your forehands need to be going off the court. But I think honestly I would say I prefer my forehand down the line. Obviously with the court open, I wouldn't do it maybe if the guy's standing there, but I have a lot more trust in my forehand down the line than maybe a real good cross court ball. Angle shot is a little different. But I think like also one thing that's weird. I don't know if this is true or if this is like a study, but I think like lefties happen to usually be like really good with like feel and like their hands, and that's something that I think I play well with on the court. And so that's another tool that I use because like I can't just use power or something like that. So like a funny thing I say is like I like to some kids like I might have no weapons, but I think to me like all my shots are weapons. Like I can use them in like all types of ways. I wouldn't say that like somebody would be like, oh, stay away from his forehand. Like maybe if I'm on, like if I'm really like I don't know what I'm gonna say. If I'm really just like locked in, like sometimes I guess the forehand could be like really crazy, but I think I'm really steady on both sides. And it's just like I play around, and my weapon at any point could be like any type of shot. So.
I think it's amazing in all sports, but particularly in tennis, like that there's differences between the handedness so much. You know, like as a tennis historian now, I'm going to have to ask the coaches this. Like, why is that? This is the hard-hitting questions that we're going to find out. All right. Now, Oregon so far, you touched on the tournament in San Diego, just playing with this team. Tell us a little bit about the team so far.
Yeah, so we have a lot of characters on the team. Everyone is definitely like –
You're telling me that Coach Sheelander and Coach Spencer recruited a lot of characters on the tennis team.
Yeah, everyone is definitely one of one. There's a lot of energy in the practice. A lot of our team, we all like to talk a lot, so there's always going to be like banter, and the practice is always competitive. I think everyone wants to beat each other. One guy that like I think like everyone on the team likes to take from is Vlad. Like he sets the example for everyone. He'll be practicing. I mean, I think he does everything like 100%. And even when he's hurt, he's not going to do 99%. So, like, whether it's the warm-up, he actually does, like, his own warm-up in the locker room before our team warm-up. Most days, honestly, 75% of the time when our practice finishes, he keeps practicing after. In the lift, he's usually pushing himself. So that's someone that I think, like, all of us, especially us freshmen, all of us should be trying to take after what he does. And then not only does he do that, he also, like, I don't know. I can't say that right. He also
he
calls people out who aren't doing that. That's how I say it. Like he calls people out who aren't giving their best, who aren't giving 100%, and tells them that like you can do more. You can do better. So
it's leadership.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's cool to hear. All right, so what's the schedule ahead? Tell fans a little bit about what's to come.
January 19th, Santa Clara. So I think that's Sunday. I want to say 10 a.m., but I don't know the exact time. Yeah. So I've been preparing for it already. But that's the schedule, and then we go to Oklahoma, and we play Stanford at I think it's like indoors kickoff, something like that.
So tell fans too a little bit about like you're coming up on winter break, then you're back at it. I mean it's a year-round sport, but you get a little bit of downtime and individual time, right?
Yeah. So we get a little bit of downtime. I know that I'm going to a concert this weekend in Florida with like some of my high school not high school or like some of my friends who are seniors.
You're being a college student?
Yeah.
Whoa. I mean, that's...
Yeah, so I was lucky because I finished my statistics class early. I did well on my second midterm, so I got to skip the final on Thursday.
Good work.
Yeah, thanks. I was struggling with that class for a while, so it was good to finish with an A. And I was going to have to leave on Thursday, and I was telling my friends, I was like, guys, like I'm only going to know, like, whatever last week was, if I'm going to be able to make it to the concert. So I was like, it all just depends on this grade, because if I take my final on Thursday, like I'm not going to make it by like Friday afternoon, like for us to go. So I was like, I don't know. Luckily, the grade came back good, and I was like, okay, guys, we're in the clear. But yeah, I think like the best time of the year to improve is honestly in December. I mean, obviously in college, your break is a little shorter. But usually like in juniors, there's Junior Orange Bowl going on right now, which is the biggest tournament probably of the year besides the Grand Slams. After that's over, you have like a month of preseason, and in a place like IMG, they really like emphasize like preseason. Like we're doing like honestly like we're doing 50% sprints and like fitness, and then 50% tennis just to work on our fitness, and just make us really tough before the season started. And just like discipline drills, like we're doing like 40 balls past the service line in a row, or else you can't stop the practice. And we had a really strict coach. Like my last year at IMG, we had a really strict coach who like he was serious about that, and if you didn't get the 40 balls, you weren't stopping practice. Maybe I stopped at 35 sometimes. I don't know, but because 40 was like I don't know. After running like 3 miles on the track, then doing a full practice, 40 balls past the service box to finish practice, like it was I don't know.
But now you're here.
Exactly. Now I'm here. So now when we do it here, doing progressions on Mondays, it's something that I'm used to. I can manage the intensity and work well with it. So it's something to be good at.
All right, final question. How often has a certain team up north that wears purple come up since you've been here in your freshman year?
I would say like pretty periodically, like every week it's being brought up, probably before regionals, like ever since kind of like the 8-hour weeks and 20-hour weeks, because it's been a while since we kind of stopped. Not as much, but I would say like from day one to like October 31st, we were hearing about it all the time, right?
This is a team that believes in rivalries. I'll just put it that way.
Yeah, exactly. So I would say actually like I wasn't feeling the rivalry like back then like that much. Like, even when I was in Washington, I have like a friend from juniors who's a freshman there, and so like we were talking, and Spencer's like, "Don't make me wait on you for like a Washington Husky," and I was like, "Okay." So then I kind of got the gauge of like what the rivalry means. So I'm kind of like set in stone with that. So like even like watching the Washington Huskies game, I'm kind of understanding rivalries, and then on top of that, seeing like the Michigan Ohio State like football, I didn't really understand what like rivalries really were. Now I'm kind of seeing like what they mean. So yeah, I understand where we stand.
I get it. Coach will bring it up, I'm sure, once or twice. Paris, it's been great to get to know you.
Thank you.
Thanks for taking the time. Thanks for the season check-in. Hey, best of luck all season, rest of your career. All right,
we're gonna do good. So I'm ready.
Really appreciate Paris Poua sitting down, talking with Joey, giving us a little bit of his story ahead of tennis season coming up after the holiday break, after Duck Insider's off the air. This is the last show for Duck Insider. We will return on Monday, the 6th of January is when we'll be back on the air here from the Country Financial Studio. Before we get there, there's a whole lot of men's basketball, a whole lot of women's basketball to play. Men's basketball in action tomorrow. Hearing a little bit from Coach Altman when we return on Duck Insider on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
Hey Duck fans, at Country Financial, they make insurance easy. Whether you're shopping for home, auto, or more, their representatives will take the time to understand your specific needs and explain what options work best for you. Worry less and feel more confident knowing you're covered. Visit countryfinancial.com to get started today. Experience more with Country Financial.
Auto and home insurance policies issued by Country Mutual Insurance Company, Country Preferred Insurance Company, and Country Casualty Insurance Company, Bloomington, Illinois.
As a local community credit union founded by teachers, OnPoint is committed to supporting the students and faculty at the University of Oregon. And on game day, we're right there with you, on the field, in the bleachers, and in the classrooms. Drop by our local branch today and discover the many ways OnPoint can help support your financial well-being. OnPoint Community Credit Union. People are the point. Federally insured by NCUA. Equal housing opportunity.
This is Duck Insider, presented by OnPoint Community Credit Union on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
Kids ask their parents a lot of questions.
Why can't people fly?
Gravity.
Is the moon really made of cheese?
Yep, cream cheese.
When can I move into a big kid's car seat?
For some questions, parents may not have the answer, but that's okay. They can't know everything, but knowing the right seat for their age and size will help protect them in a car crash. Find out more at nhtsa.gov/the-right-seat.
Where do babies come from?
Good luck, Dad. A message from NHTSA and the Ad Council.
When might you be buzzed? When you suddenly love everything.
You guys, I love this song. I love these nachos. I love our kickball league. Ugh! I love this guy. What's your name? You know what I'd love? A ride when it's time to head out.
If you see a buzzed warning sign, call for a ride when it's time to go home. Buzz driving is drunk driving. A message from NHTSA and the Ad Council.
I love your car. Is this real leather?
Having some fun here in the Country Financial Studio on a Friday. Last show of the 2024 year as Oregon goes into the holiday break. It's a break for some of us around the athletic department, not a break for the teams. Men's basketball, they're in action tomorrow against Stanford. Joey ran a little bit of Dana Altman's press conference from yesterday on the show. We've still got a little more of that press conference from Coach Altman previewing the matchup against Stanford and some more things going on throughout the upcoming and ensuing days for Oregon men's basketball. Here's Coach Altman, the second part of his conversation from yesterday.
Sport is getting good at three-point defense, or is today's player just obsessed with doing something that none of them are actually good at?
Oh, I would say the second probably fits it closer. You know, guys, you know, they all want to shoot the three. And, you know, all of them aren't capable. It really does help, you know, the more guys that can shoot it efficiently. But, no, I don't think the defense is getting that much better on the three. I just think that more guys are shooting it. And as coaches, we're trying to give them that flexibility. You'd like to see it backed up a little bit more in practice with some stats. You know, that's why we chart everything in practice to see who really is shooting them well. And again, I just think a lot more guys, because of the NBA game, you know, feel like they need to shoot the three. And I would say that, you know, everybody's pretty optimistic about their chances and probably aren't in the gym enough to back it up.
Your best teams here, you've referenced Ken Pom a lot over your time here. Your best teams have always been in the top 30 offensively and defensively in that set statistics. This team is. Do you feel like this team has the potential to kind of go in line of making that impact on offense, defense, and the data?
I think offensively we're going to be all right. You know, defensively and on the boards, I think are going to be our major moving forward as we get into the Big Ten and get on the road. I think the defense and rebounding are going to have to hold up. We slipped defensively just because we gave up so many offensive rebounds the other night. You know, it's a formula which takes into account, you know, defensive rebounding percentage and so forth. And we didn't rebound the ball the other night, and our defensive numbers slipped.
That's Coach Altman, and he's right. You're getting into the meat of conference play coming up, and before that, you've got a non-conference test against Stanford on the road. Not a true road game, but essentially a road game. It'll be played in Northern California. It'll be in front of Stanford fans. Got to be ready to play in a difficult environment for Oregon. Coming up tomorrow, 5 o'clock on Big Ten Network. 4:30 is when Joey will have the Oregon Sports Network pregame show for you as well. As mentioned earlier in the show, this is the last show of the 2024 year for Duck Insider. That does not mean that we won't have broadcasts. We have the broadcast, of course, tomorrow for men's basketball. We've got next Saturday women's basketball, next Sunday men's basketball, Tuesday on New Year's Eve women's basketball, football, Rose Bowl on New Year's Day. At 2 o'clock is when the game will be played. 12 o'clock Pacific is when the pregame show will start on the Oregon Sports Network, and then we're into the year 2025 with a whole lot of basketball at Matthew Knight Arena. The 2nd, the 4th, the 5th, and then Duck Insider returns on the 6th to break down what is going to be a really fun and joyous few weeks in Oregon athletics. Happy holidays, everybody. Stay safe, spend some time with family, show them your love, and most of all, go Ducks.
When you're high, you feel different. You think different, you talk different, you draw different, you listen to music different, but you probably knew that. Problem is, you also drive different. And not in a good way. That's why driving high is illegal everywhere. So if you're high, just don't drive. Make a plan to get a sober ride. Because if you feel different,